Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to dear honorable educators, judges, teachers, students, to all of my friends, and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Haura Aurella Arifah Djuansjah, and I am from Indonesian School of Riyadh. Today, I am here as the first speaker from the opposition team. And of course, the motion for today's debate is this House prefer the strategy of pushing for institutional reform to address police abuse and misconduct rather than defunding the police. Of course, the motion has been placed perfectly clear. Defunding the police means reallocating or redirecting funding away from the police department to other government agencies and programs such as education, healthcare, housings, and other community resources. Defunding does not mean abolish. And even someone who said abolish does not mean that all law enforcement should be put away. But in fact, they want to see that the rotten trees, all of the rotten parts to be cut off and be planted by a new root, fresh new root. Before I go into my arguments, I want to rebut a few points that have been given by our beloved first speaker from the government team. Number one is, I believe that he stated quite few or even no data and evidence to support his points. And it has been stated that in afsc.org that body cameras, trainings, and other so-called reform measures does not end the cycles of police violence. Number one, body cams are regularly shut off by police and do not result in less violent behavior. Trainings on implicit bias for police have shown no demonstrable effective. In fact, in Chicago, it was found that police officers accuse abusers that leads the trainings. Number three, community policing. The idea that if a community and the police work together, there will be more trust in the police. But that doesn't work either. The practice deputizes white and wealthy community members to surveil their neighbors, resulting in even more police action based on racist attitude and beliefs. And of course, the first speaker from the government team has said that it is very important that a bad cop to enter the court and not generalize that all cops are bad cops. But in fact, I believe that it's already too hard to differentiate, to separate which is the bad cop and which is the good cop. How about the cops that do nothing and just stand there while seeing the bad cops doing violence and all of the abuse to the community? How about good cops that haven't stand or didn't say anything to this BML movement? How about the cop that just overall stand there, keep quiet to all of this mess? I think that is all for the rebuttal. I would like to go to my argument now. The thing is that institutional reform couldn't just stand alone without the defunding. My arguments are stated based on that, number one, police departments are historically violent, and also police department invest too much money. The first argument that I'm going to explain. Number one, police departments are historically oppressive and violent. Defunding them could not reduce violence against people of color and overall crime. Despite the billions of dollars spent everywhere on policing, more than 15,000 people were killed by gun violence in just 2019 alone. Disproportionately young people of color and other people of color. If policing and imprisonment stop violence, the US, I think, will be much more peaceful country. But decades of evidence show that this is not the case. According to the Guardian's database, since 2016, the rate of fatal police shooting per million was 10.13 for Native Americans, 6.6 for Black people, 2.23 for Hispanics, 2.9 for white people, and 1.17 for Asian. Although that the white people conquer most of the population in the US, in this database, they rank 2 from the last. If we believe in everyone's right to live in safety and peace, we need to dismantle institutions that were never intended to get us there and free up resources for solutions that are actually designed to create healthy, safe, sustainable communities. Number two, police diverts billions of money from schools, healthcare, and other vital programs that need more funding to strengthen the communities. This one is written on the intel.com. From the budgetary point of view, we just spend too much money on policing. Over the last 40 years, state and local spending on policing has almost tripled, rising from $42 billion to $515 billion. For example, the Dallas police budget is about 5,000 million this year. The more than the city will spend on libraries, on healthcare, education, parks and recreation, public works, housing, planning and zoning, and municipal courts combined aren't spent on that. I think overall from this debate, the police collectively spend over thousands and hundreds billions a year, while needed investment in education, healthcare, housing, and other critical programs needed to be fulfilled, particularly in the poor communities and communities of colors. Defunding the police means all of this heavy investment, all of the thousands and billions of dollars will go to much more important programs like I said before, healthcare, educations. But that doesn't mean the police will be left with nothing. I believe that just half of the money they invest are enough for security to the community and helping them, but not over billions of dollars and left the other important one just like that. I believe that's all for my speech. Thank you for listening, dear honorable educators, judges, teachers, ladies and gentlemen. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.